Hey guys, Gina here, and I'm joined by my teammate, Linda, and you probably can't tell it, but we're 6 feet apart. We're at my house too. So, anyways, I'm getting ready to, for some of the women who are in the Bluegrass Women's Jiu Jitsu Club group, I'm getting ready to post that link in that group so that if you want to join us, you can. I know that Lori Ramos talked about wanting to join us today. If there's anybody in here, if you don't care to speak up in the chat room and let us know that you can hear us, that would be greatly appreciated. Let's see if I can't work on my speakers here. Doing it a little different today. Oh, let me see. There we go. Hey, Sonia's in our chat room. Sonia, can you hear us? She'll respond momentarily, I'm sure. There's always a lag. Is there? Yeah. Okay. But anyways, some of the things that we will talk about today, training. Obviously, there was the announcement that there was the announcement that martial arts facilities or not martial arts facilities even, I don't even think that's been included. The announcement was that gyms can open in Kentucky on June 1st. A lot of gyms, I think, feel that includes them. So, as we get ready, what is that, 10 days away? Yeah, it's like 10 days away. And so as we prepare, the only thing that I kind of have an issue with is, they haven't announced what our guidelines are.
They haven't that I've seen.
What have you seen like in other states that they're doing?
I've seen them talk about the employees wearing masks. I've seen them talk about social distancing, staying 6 feet apart, making sure that the equipment is cleaned in between every use, so not sharing equipment, making sure that the treadmills and the cardio equipment is spaced out properly. Fitness classes are spaced out properly. I know that the Y said that they were opening up lap lanes, but I haven't heard anything about sharing lanes or anything like that. I've heard some people talking about for team swimming starting at one end of the pool each person, so that each person was a pool length away if they were going to share lanes. I don't know if so. I mean, I think a lot of people, not just martial arts gyms, are questioning what their guidelines are.
Yeah, we're like 10 days away, and Scott and I are trying to talk about what our plan is for reopening, because we have for almost 30 years been the AFS Academy of Martial Arts and Fitness. Fitness being one of the components in there, and I have no idea what our parameters are. Like you said, they're talking about like 6 feet away and things like that. But like it's 10 days, and I've not seen any announcements from the state of Kentucky on what those might be. I know some other states, and there might be somebody who is out there listening from Tennessee or Ohio. From some of the other states, like in Tennessee, they opened up first. And for them, it looked like they had to stay 6 feet apart. They weren't allowed to have any contact. They weren't allowed to. They had to clean everything. So it looks like that's kind of been what their thing is. But now, is it Ohio that's opening on the 26th?
I have no idea what Ohio is doing. I have heard, I believe they are opening a little bit earlier than we are.
Yeah.
So,
which their announcement for when they can open came a lot later than what ours did. Ours came like
weeks ago.
Yeah, weeks ago when we could open. And now, Ohio really didn't have any idea. Matter of fact, I think they had to do a big petition and weren't they suing the state over when they can open?
I'm not sure. I haven't followed Ohio very well.
I think that's something I saw, and I know Pennsylvania. So I don't know if you guys, as much as we're Bluegrass MMA, we do talk to and have a lot of contact with people from about Pennsylvania through Ohio and Indiana. Which I think Indiana has a lot of cases, down through Kentucky and Tennessee. So in Pennsylvania, we have some affiliates up there, and there are people who are just like opening anyways.
Yeah, I
Right.
have heard that Pennsylvania, and I believe I have heard Pennsylvania's
Outlaws.
suing.
Pennsylvania's kind of wilding out a little bit there. People are kind of getting sick of everything. You know, but I don't know if some of you guys follow, but like I see people in New York who like they live in New York and they're just like, fuck this, like we shouldn't be on lockdown. And that's something I don't understand. Like even in New York where it's so bad, like
New
you
York
see
State or New York City?
New York City, like with Gordon Ryan and all those guys,
Okay.
like they're talking about how like they don't agree with everything that's happening. So I don't understand that. It's kind of wild. Anyways, so a lot of people are opening up. We'd love to know what your thoughts are. I'm gonna have to get a power cord for this. But anyways, Linda, you can talk to him for a second.
I'm personally excited about them opening up. I think it is dying. I can't tell if it's on or not.
Oh no!
Mm.
Did it go off?
No, we're still here. Sorry about that. Personally, I'm pretty excited about opening up. I, of course, do want to be safe. I do have people that I care about that I don't want to get infected, but I'm personally excited about opening up in a safe manner. So, I want to get back to rolling. I want to get back to sparring. And so I'm personally excited about it, and I'm going for it.
If they didn't set any guidelines and it was just like, no, just go back to normal jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, sparring, all those things, doesn't matter who, just go for it. Would like for your own training, if like it didn't matter, like would you be more cautious about what groups you train with, or would you just be like showing up to the gym and training with whoever?
I would probably show up to the gym, and to this gym I would show up and train with whoever. I would not cross train as much as I usually do.
Yeah,
Is
same.
probably how I feel about it. The gym as it stands and the members that we had before we closed, I feel very comfortable with. So personally, yes, we don't have a very big gym.
Mhm.
So personally, yes, I would roll, spar. I'm excited for any kind of opening, and I'm excited to get back to the schedule. But going to other gyms in Indiana, gyms that I'm not familiar with, yeah, I'd be a little more cautious about cross training. Like I said, I do want to get back to my regular schedule. I'm not high risk, and I'm not exposing myself to a lot of people who are high risk. However, at the same time, I don't want to open myself up to it in case I do have it, or in case I can get it. I don't want to get it personally. I don't know how I'll react to it, and I don't want to pass it on to a teammate who is exposing themselves to somebody who's high risk. So that's my thought train behind it. I'm not going to live my life in a bubble, but I do want to be a little bit careful.
Have you been reading the conspiracy theories, or not conspiracy theories, but like all the different philosophies on whether it's like pneumonia, or now they're saying that maybe it's not even a pneumonia, it's like a thrombolytic issue of the lungs? Like for me, because like we talked about this a little earlier, like when this all first started, I'm like, Scott, if I get it and I'm in the hospital, like don't let them put me on a ventilator, it'll kill me. And then like there's all these things coming out how people are like, oh, if you have to put on a ventilator, your chances of surviving are so low. And he's like, whoa. Because I went like full Eddie Bravo on some of this like conspiracy theory stuff.
I hadn't read too much into the conspiracy theories as opposed to as far as treatment is concerned. I had decided There we are.
There we are. Linda got shut down.
We got shut down.
Them contract tracers are like, where the fuck's this bitch at? That's kind of, hey, contact tracer contacts you. Y'all don't know me.
I'm not answering my phone.
So that's something kind of wild too. They're starting those contact tracers that are like basically people who are like going around trying to find out who you've been around. And then like Sonia was in a group message with us telling us that like, and you were telling me too about how like on Richmond, Kentucky's Facebook page, like people are on there all the time, like snitching on each other.
Yeah, they're ratting out Lowe's constantly on a regular basis, taking pictures from the Lowe's front door, ratting out other people standing in line to get on into Lowe's. But I take it very seriously. I don't want to be infected. I don't want to infect others. But I don't want other people in my business. So I'll die at my house, and I'm not going to tell. I'm not going to tell anybody who I'm not letting those contact tracers know anything. I will personally let you know if I'm sitting at my house dying and you are exposed to me, but no contact tracers for me.
What am I going to do with them? Well, I think that's kind of been my thing too, is like I'm eager to get our gym back to open. I'm excited to train again. Obviously, I've had, my son to train with, and you and I are friends. You're not supposed to get in groups of more than 10 people, and like we work together. Linda kind of runs her running business, and so we work together on things like that. So we've been in contact. So it's not like I've been kind of out, not able to train at all. But I think I'm kind of in that same boat. Like, I think I'd be very apprehensive if somebody said, "Hey, are you guys training? Like, can I come train with you?" And they were from like another state or something, because that makes me worry. Like, when you don't know where you're at, like say you have been training in Indiana, and then you train in Florida, and then you come back to your home gym. Like, if you get it, you might have fucking got it from Walmart.
Yeah.
But now everybody who's been in those other gyms is now shut down. And so that's kind of the thing for me, is like, I'm not very interested in like letting people come to my gym and cross train. And that's something Scott and I were talking about, is do we accept new members in the first month that we open? Because, we have our group of people who we know, we trust. We stay in communication with them with our online training and things like that. And so when everything kind of comes back, like you reach a certain level to where I can be honest and say, this is what I expect from you and this is what you expect from me, and let's work together. But when you don't know new people coming in, I think that makes it very difficult, because like, how are you supposed to,
It does make it difficult. It makes it difficult to be reasonably safe.
Yeah.
And it also makes it a difficult choice, because with the position that you've been put in, where you've been closed for 2 months, you need new money.
Yeah. Obviously. So like, that's kind of a weird thing, I think, going forward with like some of the gyms. If you guys are in there listening, like, I don't know if a lot of you guys are gym owners, but if you've been gym members, have you been still supporting your gym through the shutdown? Because it's literally been March, April, and now May. We have had several members who have still been supportive of us. And like, I have one lady for DDP Yoga, like, she's like, I'll open my Venmo and she'll like send me $50 through Venmo, because she likes having the access to the DDP Yoga videos that I put up. And I do have some people who, like, I've said, hey, if you want to join the DDP Yoga app, it's not that expensive, and they just prefer my teaching. So like, I've had people like still kind of being supportive of me. But for you guys, if you don't mind kind of commenting in the chat room, like, have you still supported your gym, or know that people have kind of been supporting? Because it's only been like, not only, but it's been like what, 25% unemployment.
Yeah, it's been high.
Yeah. But then, out of the 20, like, a lot of people are still working, obviously. Out of the 25% employment, those people are getting unemployment with that extra $600 bonus per month. So they're kind of like, that's kind of the thing now, is people are supposedly making more money than what they were making working. So like, there's this thing too of like, well, if it's kind of spreading the wealth, as they say, to kind of keep your gym dues up, or are you guys doing that? And I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. We've had one person dispute a charge, which I was very open and said, if you don't want to continue, like, let me know, no problem. If you can't afford it, we're not going to kick you out of online training and all that kind of stuff. And that's the thing about, like, people, sometimes they won't communicate. They won't say, hey, I can't do this, or hey, it's just not feasible for me right now. And instead they'll go to their bank and cut off their card, which is a real nuisance for, I think, business owners. But I mean, it says we got about 5 or 6 people that have been in there listening, but they're not going to let us know if they've still supported their gym. But that's kind of something I'd like to know, is like how many gyms still supported. And it doesn't look like, I don't know if you guys can hear the saw outside, they're working, but it doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of gyms shut down in our area so far. I don't know if you've seen anybody, but I've not seen anybody in the Lexington or Richmond area.
I've not seen anybody in this area say that they're shutting down yet.
Yeah.
But I personally, I'm excited about them opening up, and I've been lucky enough to be in a spot where I could support not only my local gym, but my massage therapist, my restaurants that support me and sponsor me. I turn around, I beg them for sponsorship and support when I need it, and here they are. So I've been supporting them as heavy as I can, but I've been in a lucky position where I've had a job. I think it depends on your financial situation, and I think that's where it's nice that something like you, where you offered, if you can afford it and you can help, we're not going to kick you out of online training,
Right.
if you're also unemployed and suffering.
Right.
But definitely, if you're comfortable, like I'm lucky enough to be in, then yeah, I'm going to support my massage therapist. I'm going to support everybody that supported me, because next time, I never know when I'm going to need some help, and I might need my gym to cut me a break when I need some help, or I need yoga, or whatever I need. So I'm happy right now to support my gym.
Yeah, almost all of our members have been very supportive. Like I said, I've only had one person who didn't communicate with me because actually back in March, when we were still open, we had not gotten word yet that gyms were going to close, because it came on so sudden. And I had ran payments like sometime in March, and then I had, and I told people, hey, if you're thinking that you don't want to train, which, like I said, at that time we didn't know what was happening, then just let me know. And I've only had one person who wouldn't communicate with me and say, hey, this just isn't something I'm comfortable with. And people are different. Some people are just too embarrassed to talk about things like that all the time. But it is what it is. Like, I don't fault them for that. I just wish that they would have communicated with me, rather than, because then it makes it awkward.
Yeah.
It's going to be very awkward, I think. The other thing that we run into is, like, we do have some members who are very apprehensive. Like, for me, like, I take it seriously, but, like, I'm very comfortable rolling with the people that I've always rolled with. Like, I'm very comfortable with that. So, like, for me, like, I'm kind of just like, if they said we could roll now, then I'd be very comfortable showing up to a gym full of 20 people and rolling with all of them, if they were people who'd been here before. Like, that wouldn't make me uncomfortable at all. But we do have some members who are just like, they feel like you should, well, there's not just members, but there's people that I know personally who, like, feel like you should be wearing a mask if you're out, and you should not be having any contact with people. And while my views are different, I don't feel that way. Like, there is a certain aspect of, like, I'm going to have to respect that.
And I do think you have to respect that, because I think you have to respect that everybody's situation is different than yours. Maybe you're not exposed to, you don't have an elderly person that you're being exposed to all the time like they are.
Right.
And they're worried about their grandmother that they're going home to deliver groceries to every day, and they need to be careful, and they need you to be careful around them.
Yeah.
And that's a situation where I say that I'm excited to roll, and I'm excited to roll with the people that are excited to roll with me. If somebody needs to be careful and they need me to be careful, I need to know that.
Yeah.
I need so that I can let them know, like, hey, do you know what? Maybe you and I are not a good match for partners because I'm not being as careful as you need me to be.
Right.
So I'm going to back off and I'm going to let you drill with somebody who's being a little bit more careful. Or, do you know what? Maybe I do fit. I am being pretty careful. I'll wear a mask and we can drill together. I think as long as you're being upfront about what you're doing,
I agree with that.
that person can make the choice. But
I think the other side of that too is like being honest, because like we talked to one of our people about this. Like, I should be able to make the choice whether or not I want to roll and work with you, and you not get mad. Like we had a fellow that we talked to and said, you know, when I had first asked him what he was up to, he was like nothing, and then somebody told on him, and we found out that he was kind of up to some things that for me at the time were not. I just wasn't comfortable working with him, and so that was kind of my thing. Is like, you know, you have to be honest, because if you're being honest and you're telling me what you're doing, everybody has to have the opportunity to decline to work with you, and that's only fair. Like, I know you might not like it, and you might not think that's the way that things are, but you have to be giving people the option to decline to work with you, and not get mad at them when they do.
I'll tell you, I had a moment in time when I was thinking about being extremely careful because those tigers at the Bronx Zoo were testing positive, and I have an elderly cat, and I was seriously worried about her for a little bit, and I was like, I need to be real careful. I don't want my elderly cat getting sick. A glimpse into how crazy I am.
My fucking cat like sneezed in my face in the middle of the night yesterday or 2 days ago, and I woke up like, coronavirus. I thought my cat was gonna give it to me. I would have weird ass dreams. I don't know, like the opening is exciting for me, but it's also kind of very stressful to me, because you know, like it's that unknown. And I've been having, you know, I talked about this on here. Obviously, I've had some ups and downs. Like, every time we would get an announcement that things would be prolonged, like, I would get really depressed. And I've kind of been in that up and down phase this week. Like, especially when it's raining, I have like a lot of issues with like my mood control, where like I'm kind of a depressive person anyway. It's like I get depressed. But martial arts, like, people talk about like, oh, martial arts saved my life. Like, that was kind of me, you know, like when I was younger, like, I was kind of like,
Here we go.
anyways, so like, I've tried being on antidepressants, and when I was younger, I was a lot more impulsive because of it. But like, for me, like, when I finally found martial arts, that kind of even killed me out. Like, I've still always kind of been a little up and down, and kind of I mean, you know me, I don't know how I would explain it, but I'm real kooky.
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, martial arts and exercise and all those kinds of things, like, really like even me out to where like I can set goals and I can do things, and I can, you know, manage it without like getting depressed too bad. So for me, like, this kind of thing has not been super good, because like I do have like those swings of up and down more. Fortunately, though, I'm older and I'm wiser, so I can deal with it in a much more healthy way than I did when I was young. But I think that's kind of part of it. Like, there's a lot of people out there that martial arts really helps with things like that, and I empathize with them, and now they're not able to be here. So I'm really worried about a lot of people, I think, who I think that martial arts was really helping them, and just physical activity was helping them with the way they shut things down. But also, like, I think that's part of what makes me real, like, excited but sad. Like,
Yeah, I think not only
because
martial arts helps people emotionally, but also the gathering. If you talk to some people, there's some very stable people emotionally that maybe were a little bit closed in and didn't have a huge friend circle and realized that their true friends are here at the gym.
Mhm.
So they were already isolated a bit
Yeah.
when they are in a regular everyday life.
Yeah.
And now their gym has been taken away, and that was their only social time. So you're dealing with people that were using martial arts to keep themselves emotionally stable or exercise in any way, because there's a huge population of those people.
Yeah.
And then just there's a small population of people that they're completely stable and they're just regular everyday people, but they're kind of shy, and they started to open up in martial arts, and this is their family.
Yeah.
And now they have nobody.
Yeah. It's kind of the thing too, though, like the we're opening, but we're not opening in a capacity of like we get to train how we want. And part of that too is like I don't get to teach how I want. So like for me that's kind of bittersweet, because it's like if I was just doing fitness for the sake of like making money, then I would teach all like, you know, Zumba and all kinds of different things. But like I only teach what I want to teach. Like I've even we've been cut out a little bit. Have to scoot
Hi.
Hey,
How are you guys?
Now we appear closer, we're still 6 feet apart.
for sure. Yeah, we're 6 feet apart. We're not touching. But just to finish up my thought on what I was saying, I like even for like teaching at the private school, like when they've been like, hey, we need this instructor, I'm like, no, I only want to teach martial arts and I only want to teach yoga. So, you know, kind of being forced into teaching like things that I don't feel passionate about isn't too fun for me. What's up, Miss Lori? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Good. So I saw, was the picture you posted about being in the gym, was that recent or was that an old photo?
That was recent.
Oh, good for
you. It's funny that you asked me that, because the last time we spoke, I was super like, I don't think I would train. Like, I'm scared. I don't think I would do it. And all it took was me getting like a little glimpse of what that felt like. And I was like, I'm ready right now. Yeah. So
did you get to train jiu-jitsu?
No. So it's actually a boxing gym. It hasn't opened yet here in Louisville. I met this guy and he was in the process of opening. No, not like that.
Like that. You're young. You're
Yeah.
attractive. Why isn't it?
Yeah, because he's too short.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like Henry
Exactly. So anyway, so he was in the process of opening his gym. It's a really nice space. It's humongous. And then I guess with everything, the whole coronavirus thing, it kind of delayed him. So whenever gyms open up, he's going to have like a grand opening. I think it's a hard time to kind of open a business. But anyways, one day he was like, hey, do you want to come work out? And I was like, of course I do. So he put me through a workout. And then after that, we did some boxing rounds. And then he was like testing my gangster, like, oh, you don't wrestle, you don't do whatever. So I had to choke him out a couple of times. It was fun.
So is he only doing boxing, or will he add jiu-jitsu to his curriculum too?
I don't know. I don't know what his plans are. So right now his gym, it looks like it used to be an old factory. And one whole side of it, he has it set up like with boxing stuff. Of course, he has like a ring in there, then workout equipment. And there's a whole nother section to the gym. So I really don't know. Lots of potential, but I have no idea what he's going to do. He personally doesn't have a jiu-jitsu background, just boxing. But he's a yoga teacher as well. So I think he's going to incorporate yoga. Yeah.
What kind of yoga?
Not intense yoga, just regular, groovy shit.
No, listen, I've been, there's no shit to do besides work out and work on my business a little bit, but there's only so much time in a day that takes up. And then there's social media. So I've been seeing trapeze yoga. Have you seen it? Where you hang like the silk, hang upside down. So I'm getting ready to order me a fucking trapeze set. And
Are you serious? That sounds like fun.
Club Med. I was in the show and everything.
A show? I can't imagine it.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I can't imagine that either.
See, Linda.
You are a lot of things, Linda, but I don't know that graceful is one of them.
We went to a pole dancing class for my birthday. You were
My
all,
toes.
yeah, we were only allowed to have 5 people, so it was like me and Linda and like 2 or 3 of my other good friends. And you know, they teach us all these moves. And what was it? She said, "Oh, you're very graceful." I'm like, "Thank you." And then Linda, they tell us to climb the pole, and so Linda like takes her toes and it's like climbing. And they're like, no, monkey toes, like you don't rush it or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
I could
That
climb,
is funny.
I climb the pole without my even use my legs.
Yeah, that's how I would do it too, like a rope climb.
So Wish has the trapeze for like $20,
Uh-huh.
but everything there comes from China, and I'm on this whole like American made kick. So
Yeah. I was about to say I've never trusted Wish. I've never ordered from there, so
I'll get it in like 2 months. I don't know. I saw something about there's a big province in China where like they just broke out with like a huge coronavirus thing. You know,
probably get some trapeze with coronavirus on it.
you know what we could do? We could get the trapeze and we could practice, and then we could join the UK cheerleading team.
Oh no!
Cut it out. Cut it out. Did you see that they fired the coaches?
Huh?
Did you see that they fired the coaches?
Yeah, they fired like all 4 of their coaches. That's it's for some of you guys that don't know what we're talking about. So it was just released that UK fired all 4 of their coaches. One of their coaches, like all 4 of them were alumni for the cheerleading team. UK has had like, I don't know, 20 years of championship.
Yeah, they've been dominant.
Yeah.
They're a great team.
They went like, yeah, they're freakishly good. And so like they fired all 4 of their coaches because they went to like Lake Cumberland and were doing basket tosses. Like the girls would had the option, which, you know, I read the article that said they gave people the option. It's not like they forced anybody to do it, but like the girls could do it topless or the guys would do it bottomless. So basically they wanted to see like boobs and wieners flipping around in the air, I guess. Like,
Oh.
I don't, but they were doing on Lake Cumberland, they would do a basket toss, and the person would either have to do it if they were female topless or male bottomless and flip out into the air. And there was alcohol that past alumni had brought. Like, what were the other things they did wrong?
I saw the news about it, but I haven't read about it. My only question is was it a hazing incident?
That's what they said. It was like
They claimed that it was hazing.
Yeah, they claim it was hazing, which, you know, for some of that stuff, like they knew that there was alcohol, and while they weren't involved, they knew that it happened. Like, okay, I get like the hazing thing, especially if it's like freshman girls who are like barely 18, they're uncomfortable. But some of that stuff, I'm like, you realize when you're in college, you are a grown up. Like,
Yeah.
do we not treat people in college like adults? I don't know. Like,
Yeah. I guess adults shouldn't oversee hazing.
yeah.
Hazing is very questionable.
Yeah. Some of the things that are considered hazing nowadays kind of blows my mind. I mean, like the nudity aspect or component of that whole ordeal, like I get it. That's a little bit much. Especially if I feel like whether or not I do this determines whether or not I get to keep my scholarship or whatever the case might be. But some of the things that are considered hazing nowadays, I'm just like, that's
I don't really know.
mental toughness.
Like, I don't really know what they call like what do they consider hazing?
Because like when I was in high school, I remember we did a little bit of it I was a freshman doing varsity soccer, and it was fun. Honestly,
Yeah.
like we did fun stuff. I think you have a freshman initiation.
Yeah.
When you're forced to do something, like you said, to keep your scholarship, that's really inappropriate.
Yeah.
If you're forced to drink, I think, like you said, they are adults. If adults were partying and having fun, I kind of say, oh well, let them go. If they were getting naked, oh well. If somebody was forced to be naked, if somebody was forced to drink, That's when
Yeah, it's a little different.
bullying is such a big deal nowadays. So like if you say, like, did some of those people feel that if they didn't participate, they wouldn't be accepted? Like I get
Right.
that, you know, because that is a thing. Like if I don't respond, because I've seen that happen over the years. I've seen it happen like on a lot of different scales. So like when I was a cheerleader in high school, I was a cheerleader. Can you believe that?
I was too.
No way!
I swear.
Can't see it.
It didn't last long, but I was.
I was a cheerleader from the time I was in 4th grade until I graduated high school. Like
Oh my gosh.
yeah, like that was the thing I did. You can see it now, can't you?
No. At all. Not 1%. There has to be some good pictures out there somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'll post them later.
Please.
Yeah, I got
Funny.
uniform. But I remember one thing that happened was like it was always a thing that senior guys always treated like freshman girls like fresh meat. Like it was like even then to me it was like really icky. Oh yeah, see like kind of like seeing if they could get with them. And I remember there was these cheerleader girls and they were like, oh yeah, I'm going on a date with this guy tonight and like it's gonna be my first time and I'm gonna do it. And he was like popular and on the football team and on the basketball team, and like they make like after school special movies about that nowadays, and that did happen when I was in high school. I don't know that it happens as much anymore,
Right.
but I remember she was like, I'm nervous because I'm going and I'm like, why? And she was just kind of like, well, because you know that's who he is. And I'm like, that's not a reason.
Yeah.
So for me, like when I was in school, like that was kind of the thing is like they went after the freshman girls to see who they could get with. And then, you know, I've seen it happen like just like on different levels to where people just feel the pressure to like do something because they're going to be accepted into, I mean, it's happened at work. I mean, it happens all over the place.
I would say, like, I remember this year, for example, so on our team, like the wrestling team, we let the boys pick some of the punishments sometimes. So we got into this situation where the boys wanted to do, they call it a gauntlet. I don't know that I'm saying that word correctly, but anyway, so it's like when whoever got in trouble, whoever's getting punished, they're in the middle and the whole team is like on the outside and they take turns like going in on this person, but it's wrestling. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like an Ironman, like you're in the middle and I'm trying to break you mentally and physically, but I'm doing it through wrestling. Like I'm not gonna call you names in the process. I'm not gonna be like a dirty wrestler. It's just like it's punishment via wrestling. So I remember we did it. We allowed for it to happen. And one of the kids was like, no, I'm not doing it. And we were like, okay, fine. And then the team was like, you know, they started calling him names. They were like, don't be a, you know, blah, blah. And that part, as a coach, I was like, okay, that's enough. Like, I'm not allowing that to happen. Like, you don't have to taunt him if he doesn't want to. And the guy walked out. And then the parent of the kid was like, how dare you try to have my child in this situation? This could be considered hazing. And we were like, well, I mean, we do this in the wrestling room regularly. Like we do this, we call it all kinds of different things. It's shark bait, all kinds of stuff. So we already regularly implement this in our practices. I could see though how very easily, depending on the language or if the whole team decides to gang up on one person, I can see how it could be considered hazing. But that's why I say like a lot of times the things that are considered hazing, like there's such a thin line. Like, you know, I guess like even the era of wrestling that I grew up with or athletics in general, like mental toughness was such a big part of it. I felt like you would get away with all kinds of things. Nowadays, everything it's, I don't know, you know, these kids are growing up in different times.
They definitely are. You know, like it's definitely different. Sometimes good different, sometimes bad different. Like obviously there are things that have changed that like you know, getting a drink of waters for pussies.
Yeah.
Like that's obviously something.
I mean, I'll be honest. Me too. My college coach used to be that way. Like he really did not allow us to get water. Like, and part of our mental toughness training was like, you get water when I tell you to get water. So a lot of times as a coach, kids will be like, can I get water? And I'm like I'm in the middle of a practice. Why do you need water? You know, like they're like, are you serious? I'm like, all right, wuss, go get you a little water break.
I used to train for marathons like that till I realized that it was actually more efficient if I drank a little bit of water.
So Linda talks about being out running and getting thirsty, and she didn't bring her water, so she had to like jump in the creek.
Yeah, I drank from Tate's Creek once because I got so dehydrated because I
Linda, and you're concerned about the coronavirus? Like, what could you have gotten? And
drank from my neighbor's water hoses when they got home. Like I'll be down the road and I'm like, oh, these people aren't home. Let me try the water hose.
That's terrible. I can't deal with you.
I drank a Capri Sun at a baseball field I found once.
Linda.
A lot of things when I've been out running.
I mean, the worst thing that's probably happened to me is I was out on Tate's Creek running, and like people talk to you about this. They'll be like, "Do you ever just like have to use the bathroom suddenly when you're running?" And like that happens to me. Like, so I had to stop and use the bathroom, like cross over a guardrail and use the bathroom. But I don't
Well,
know.
let me tell you why I don't have those problems, because I'm not crazy and I don't run. So I don't have those.
I've taken rides home several times. I've gotten so sick that I've been like 10 miles away from my house and somebody's offered me a ride home and I've been like, yeah, I need one. I have my phone on me.
Scott would fucking kill me.
Yeah,
If I
no.
was right off some stranger, he'd be like, what are you doing?
I remember one day I had to walk home. I asked Chris to check on me. Like, Chris, I should be home around 10 if you don't hear from me. And I got home at like 3 p.m. I was like, the time it is? I was all dehydrated. I felt like I was going to die. I've had some horrible experiences running before.
I hope he's watching. Chris, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, he's watching. He can tell us what he thinks about that.
Yeah.
We'll do for like my kids class, we'll do like a King of the Hill,
Mm.
and sometimes I'll, let them pick the partner. And for me, the reason I like to do the King of the Hill where I let them pick the partner is, number one, I like to see who of my kids likes to take the easy path versus who likes to take the challenge, because that's kind of what King of the Hill will teach you about your kids sometimes. Like, who's going to try to see who they think, like, who's going to try and pick the big, because little Chris was like that when he was little. We'd play King of the Hill and Chris would be in the middle. And that's something that, Scott was endearing to him about him when he was a little kid at like 4 years old and he was training jiu-jitsu. He'd be like, all right, Chris, you're in the middle. Who do you pick? And like, he would look around for the biggest person in the gym. He'd be like, I'll take him, and then he went through a phase though, where he didn't pick the bigger opponent. And so, that's something Scott had to talk to him about, is like, don't take the easy path.
Yeah.
And I think it's something like those, we got somebody bit on our thing here. But that's something that the King of the Hill and those games like that, kind of teach. Hey, what's up, man?
What's happening?
We got Adam Gomez here, and it's on his Open Mat Chat podcast studio. What's been going on with you guys at your gym?
A whole lot of secret training. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Man, has a whole setup. How cool.
I'm not there to do that.
Professional.
Yeah.
It's my only quiet place because I have 3 kids. So they're going crazy without sports.
They said that soccer is going to be starting soon, though.
Yeah, so I've been on, how we have the coaches Zoom meeting for gyms?
Yeah, tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on the same Zoom meetings with coaches all around for soccer, and it's just crazy because June is our big tryouts for our select team. So, I asked the same questions. I was like, are the kids, how are we going to do this? Do they have to wear a mask? Do parents, are we allowed to sit on the sideline? Do we have to have a mask on outside?
You guys having a bunch of kids outside running with masks on trying to play soccer. You're going to get kids to get, what's it called, hypercopia or whatever. They just
Right.
out.
That's what I said. It's ridiculous.
Well, I saw there's a martial arts. It's more like karate, kids karate, but they advertised on my Facebook. I saw it this morning that they're accepting like 10 kids for youth karate by June 1st, and so I don't know how you feel about this being kind of a gym owner, but like I'm very confused because they haven't put out the guidelines. I've seen different things out there like we can have kids. No, we can't have kids. Kids can't start any kind of sports until June 15th. Like, what do you like? What's your take on all that? Like, do you have any information that the rest of us don't?
No, I don't. I saw the guidelines, I think Ohio, for gyms, and they did mention somewhere with like small group classes where they have to be like kind of physically touching each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that they said that was allowed, but just make sure everything's sanitized right after. But I didn't see if they have to wear a mask or anything. So I don't know. Kentucky's, we're blind. They just say fitness gyms open. And I'm like, well, welcome to our fitness gym. And let's get going.
Yeah, because that was my thing too is, fortunately, we opened up here as originally. I mean, we have 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu here, but that was our thing is we're at the AFS Academy of Martial Arts and Fitness. Like that's been attached to our name for 30 years.
Right.
So obviously we're a fitness gym and we run like small group classes, but there's no like, are you just supposed to assume that you fall under that category? It just feels like it's 10 days away.
Right.
And
So
We don't know.
technically, if it were just a jiu-jitsu like place, it wouldn't be able to open. Is that what it like?
We don't
is that
know.
what you're saying? Oh,
We
We're
don't
not
know.
sure.
Yeah.
We're not sure. Like they haven't made any stipulations to that. They haven't addressed that.
Hmm.
Like Ian Lawler is down at what's the name of his place?
Somerset Combat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's
Okay.
down there and he has his plan laid out and what it is that he's going to do on June 1st and he came on the podcast here and talked about how like that's his plan going forward June 1st no matter what, and I think he said he's going to have youth as well, but there's just it's very confusing and he's got his guidelines that he's laying out, but like there's not been any guidelines laid out. And he said that he got the go ahead from somebody on the phone, but like anybody who's ever worked with the government, like unless you have it in writing, like that don't mean shit.
Yeah.
So it's just really, I don't know. Like Lori, you work at a high school, you work in coaching. I've also seen that they're talking about not hiring or renewing contracts for wrestling or football or just coaches in general. As a matter of fact, in Laurel County, they fired them all coaches for fall sports. Like,
Right.
I haven't heard that yet. I know at one point, so obviously when I saw that, like track and softball and all that obviously had to get canceled, I was like, man, I feel terrible for those people. I don't know what I would have done if we didn't have a wrestling season. And then I remember we had a coaches meeting, and in that coaches meeting, they were like, well, we don't know what's going to happen to fall sports. And I was like, there's no way there's not going to be a wrestling season. Like I don't know what that would look like for me. I haven't not had a wrestling season since I was a freshman in high school. Like I can't imagine. So I don't really know what that's going to look like. We really honestly haven't gotten any update on that. And it's probably mainly because we're so focused on the grading component of education right now. That has been really complicated because right now a lot of teachers feel like it goes against their like morals. Right now they feel like a lot of grading is based on privilege, not on student ability. So that has been the main focus, and of course not athletics, but hopefully here soon we'll get some I don't know, some guidance, because I don't know if I told you this last time, but the head coach from my high school team, he left to a different school. So right now the head coaching job is open. So
right. Well, I mean, I saw something about how they're making plans, and Jackie's a teacher, so you may know a little bit more about this. They're talking about having like all these alternative plans, maybe starting school early so that it can end by November.
Yeah. I've heard every plan except for just going back to school normally.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think we'll go back to school early. I don't think that is I don't.
They-
I don't.
I know the Board of Education just sent out an email today saying that the teachers next year will guarantee have to wear a face mask.
Wow.
Yeah, they're already talking like that right now. That came from Frankfurt.
Because I know Fayette County, some friends I had in Fayette County were talking about that they were told that they might be trying to do the students with like an A crew, B crew, trying to do
Yep.
alternative days so that some of the students, like talking about they're going to be having to go back to online classes. How can we get the students in the classroom at least some of the time?
Right.
Yeah, so like Group A will stay home for the day and learn online, and then Group B would go to the school, and then the next day they would switch.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing too. But
Which that's how we're probably going to run our classes here at the gym too, and have different instructors so that if like one group gets shut down, the other group can still train. And I get that. I don't know. Like, I don't know how they're like, okay, for Chris, like we stay on him and he actually got better grades doing the online stuff. Like
For some students, it worked out. And I asked my students their opinion. We did like a student survey. And for some of them, they were like, the part that I enjoy is that it's self-paced. So I do what I can when I can, and I manage my own workload. So they appreciated that. And those students are the same ones that have the maturity to self-pace their learning. A lot of kids just can't take the initiative on their own. So that's kind of the difference.
Chris did great with it. Like, but we like if we just told like let him do whatever, I don't know that he would necessarily do it. But we're on him. We're like, you know what, you need to go work on your homework for the day.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the week, I'd be like, let me see what you have got here, and like what are your grades like? And sometimes he'd be a little apprehensive about like I'd be like, you need to write your teachers and see what you can make up. He'd be like, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm like, yes, there is. So he was always able to reach out and ask what he could do. But like Natalie and Nathan, Natalie did great. She was able to, she got on the computer every day and she did what she was supposed to do. Nathan, man, he got so far behind that we had to sit from like 8 a.m. till like 10 p.m. and then the next day get up and do homework because he just
Couldn't.
But that's on another topic is in sitting down and working math with Nathan. My other question is like, what about the kids with learning disabilities? Like,
Yeah.
I don't doubt that maybe he's struggling with, even if it's not a severe learning disability, kids that just like not only kids that I think there's certain levels in your learning journey that you can take this information and it's easier to take off with online learning because you already have a base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And some that don't have that base to take off with online learning. And then some kids, like me personally, some subjects when I was in college, I could do online and some I could not. I knew like sciences and maths, I would much rather have a teacher and a tutor and everything else to help me along the way. So what about those kids with learning disabilities or those kids that just have a hard time?
Yeah, the same thing with, I'm sorry, Jane.
no, go ahead.
The same thing with like my wife's school. She teaches in Stamping Ground, which is about 20 minutes outside of Georgetown in the country. And then from there, kids come in from up to 45 minutes away out in the sticks. Like, so these kids, they have no choice because they have no internet service. There's no towers at all by them. So those kids are suffering. Then you have the families that have 4 kids all, under middle school. And they have maybe one laptop, one iPad, and these kids' Zoom meetings are scheduled at the same time, or they're trying to get on to do their Google Classrooms, and they don't have access to this, or they have to wait it out and be behind because so-and-so's on the laptop right now. So like that's a big mess too. Like that we're I hear my wife having to deal with that stuff, with some of the kids, and even my son, he goes to St. John's, he goes to a different school, and there's some of those kids' parents, they're like, we have 5 kids, like we can't get this homeschool stuff all done like right now, like we can't. There were some teachers saying if you don't attend the Zoom meetings that they were going to get docked, like. So parents had to get on there and be like, no, you're not docking my kid for missing a Zoom meeting. My other kid has a Zoom meeting first. And it was a mess, man.
See, I had a hard time with a lot of that too. So, Gina, you know that my sister and my nephew are in Florida, and my nephew, right before all of this started, he got diagnosed with ADHD. So he just started getting like different resources at school, and then he started doing school online. So the teacher was doing the same thing. She was like, well, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, then it's going to affect your grade. And not only was she telling them that, but she was calling them out in the middle of like class time. So they're all meeting together, all the kids are present, and you're like embarrassing these kids, telling them that they're not going to get credit for something because they didn't log in at the right time or whatever the case might be. So my sister didn't know how to communicate, like, my kid needs this. Like, he's not learning from this. He's struggling with it. And she's like, can you please reach out for me? And I was like, okay. So obviously being a teacher, like, I know what language to use or whatever. So I reached out to the guidance counselor, the principal, the assistant principal. Like, I was on it, and I directly didn't get a response. But from that day forward, he started getting tutoring sessions via Zoom. His teacher started being like kinder, like she wouldn't call him out in the middle of class, all that stuff. But just in thinking, of course, because it directly affects me, children with learning disabilities. And then you also have, in my community or in my school, there's a lot of students who don't speak English at all. So they're really struggling. I had a lot of my EL students, they're like, I don't understand. So I had to teach them how to like take documents online and how they can transfer it into a Word document and how the Word document would translate it for them. So there's just so much to it. And yeah, there's a lot of kids that just this whole digital learning, it's a disservice to them. Like, they don't have not only the resources, but they've never been trained on how to do this properly. So it's like impossible to expect them to be successful, you know?
Yeah,
So.
true.
Has your gym been doing online training?
Yeah, so we make a few videos a week for our group, and then little man, my son, makes the kid ones for our kids.
Oh, that's so cute.
So he's been busy. No, yeah, it's not the same though.
No, it's not the same. We've been doing online training, which I do enjoy because it allows me. I struggle with some of the same problems you were talking about. I actually live out in the sticks, so I don't have internet service at my house. I work every other day from home, so which is another issue, that I work from home, but I have no internet service. So when I go to actual work, I can watch the videos that we put out, and it's kind of nice that I can rewatch the video, try to, work on that footwork, and I can work at my own pace a little bit. I get a little bit different look or different information from a video and working it on my own. But at the same time, I get it differently, but I don't get the same experience of learning. So I feel like I'm enjoying this for a short period of time. I'm enjoying the online videos, but I don't want it to carry on for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Maybe you know a little bit more, because we were talking about like training in Tennessee and Ohio. Like, what are some of the things that do you know, like how they're training up in those areas?
Well, I know they talked about doing like a group A and group B. It's kind of like what you guys were talking about. And Chewy also here in Louisville, he was talking about that too. So if someone got sick from group A, to quarantine all of group A. But, the problem with that is, each group's going to have a different coach. Also.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about, actually. Scott and I were talking about how, like, I teach the DDP yoga, and like my DDP yoga is not going to have a problem. Like, you can come in and 6 feet apart.
It's easy.
But we can't have group A and like I'm here teaching group A and then Scott's here teaching group B, because if group A gets it, Scott lives with me. We're still quarantined. So we're talking about how like we're going to have to make sure that like there's a different coach for group A and group B. And then we can't intermingle with them. So like if Adam or Linda is the coach for group B and Scott and I are the coaches for group A, like her and I being able to get together and talk about like our businesses that we have together is like, that's no more. And how long is that going to last,
Yeah. Exactly. And like, I don't know, we're kind of a good experiment, I would say, our gym, because, you know, my door's closed. You know, I don't want to make my landlords mad or anything because
Yeah.
their building was closed. But I'd go up to my buddy's farm, you know, and he has his whole basement matted out, and go up there and train. And then the next week, go up there and train, and there's 14, 16 of us there,
Yeah.
all meeting on the farm because, you know, he's got a pool, hot tub, guns, cows, horses. So, you know, we're rolling, training, you know, we're hanging out, watching fights. And then I go to, you know, I could go to Jerry's house. I go to someone's house down the street. Their living room's matted out. You know, you think you're going to walk in, it's just going to be, you know, 2 people there. You know, the rest of my gym's there. You know,
Yeah.
so there's 10 of our houses all have mats. Like I even have mats here at my house. And a lot of my guys, they're couples. You know, everyone's a couple. You know, you go to Alejandro and Sandra's house. We go, you know, they got the sauna in there. They got a matted living room. They got punching bags hung in the living room. Like, so we're all mixing it up, you know. And Sandro works at the hospital. He's a nurse, you know. And Trent's girl, she's a paramedic, you know. And, you know, all my other friends, they're engineers. They're still working. So we're mixing it up. You know, there's at least 30 of us in a mix throughout the week. And no one in our circles, outside of our circles, have been sick. You know, they caught anything. So like, we're more like, we're ready to just train, you know.
Yeah.
But June 1st, I'm gonna take the kids. I separated our kids, which we already have at two different kid classes, and I separate those in halves. So there'll be 4 different groups. And the first 2 weeks, see how opening goes. We're just gonna do just conditioning, just jiu-jitsu conditioning class, strength and conditioning class. Keep them away from each other.
Ooh, it's gonna be hard with kids though.
It's gonna be hard because I got 3, 4, and 5-year-old class.
Oh,
So, and you know, and the majority of our parents are on board. They're ready. They've been asking me to come down to their house to teach privates, and you know, I stayed away from all the kiddo stuff, you know, but there's a few adults I'd go teach privates to at their house. I have no problem with that. But we're gonna see. You know, we're gonna see how this goes. I'm trying to play it safe for the first couple of weeks of June. Let's see how things play out. You know, keep everyone away from each other. Keep the parents outside. I don't want parents coming in and sitting down. I don't want groups to cross-contaminate, you know. So give me time when one class ends to clean up, mop, sanitize, and then you guys can be waiting in the parking lot. I don't care. And then come in, you know, just to play it safe, and more or less to play it smart for other people. Like I had 10 people ask to sign up during all this, and I'm like, we're not training right now. You know, come June, July, you know, message me. You know, so my numbers were okay. Everyone hung in there, paying and supporting, and you know, so I was blessed with that. You know how it is. Gym families supportive.
Yeah.
right.
I don't know, man. It pains me to know that you guys as business owners are like going through so much and you're stressing yourself on how to make this work. But like, for example, the mall opened and the mall here has been packed. And I'm just like, it doesn't seem like there's that many guidelines, you know, towards going to the mall. But here you go, like this thing, like not only is that your livelihood, but you talked about this a little bit, you know, just about like the mental component of this, the mental health component. Like a lot of people are reliant on physical activity for their mental wellness. So obviously something much more important than fucking shopping therapy, retail therapy. And there's no, you know, like everyone's at the mall having a good old time. Nobody's, you know, complaining about that. But then something like training people, like it's a humongous deal, you know?
And you know, you come to the gym, it's a volunteer. Like you don't have to come to a gym. You don't have to go do classes. I have to go to Kroger. You know, I have to go buy food for my family. And I see everybody that I would normally see down on Main Street at the antique shop, at the bar, at the restaurant. I see them all at Kroger. Right. You know, and these small businesses, like we're going to see the same people. We're around the same people. Just
I think that's what's irritated me the most about the small businesses closing to begin with, or the gyms closing to begin with, is that I don't feel like I got any safer by the gym closing or Wink's bar closing so that I can't get a hamburger, because from then I go into Kroger and there's tons of people in there, and I feel like if I feel that unsafe at the gym, I can make a choice to not go to the gym.
Man, that's one thing that pissed me off too. Like, you got all these people, like they're making you stand 6 fucking feet apart, and yet there'll be somebody smoking.
Right.
And that makes me so mad because, like, there's also 6 feet apart, and we're so scared of this virus. Like, why aren't you guys scared of like lung cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes? Like, don't we have laws and ordinances that you're not allowed to smoke around other people? Like,
yes,
thing?
exactly.
Yeah. So
That probably chaps my ass more than anything.
they're not pushing in Georgetown like required mask or anything. Like I go to Kroger just like this, and I went today. I went to Kroger, Walgreens, post office, no mask. But the people, there's half and half. Half the people have them, half don't, and then the half that's wearing them is wearing them wrong anyway. Just over the mouth.
Oh
but
my
I see some people want to say something to me, and maybe they wouldn't say something to me. They might say something to my wife, but they're not going to say something. But I see them, and I'm looking at them too, like, don't even say nothing, because like now you're worried about your health. Like, come on now, like obviously you didn't worry about your health this last 30 years of your life. Like,
I've had one person who, like, when they first made that thing about wearing masks, I went to Walmart, and like this guy kind of like walks past and kind of starts like kind of like rolling his eyes. I'm like, I will fight you in Walmart. Like, I don't social distance.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The first time I went to Walmart, that was my first time going out in public in 2 months. Because I was getting my groceries delivered to me, and I had a full-on fucking anxiety attack before I went inside the Walmart because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how people were gonna be acting. Yeah, and then like
aliens.
Yeah, and then it's like definitely there's half and half. Some people take it serious, some don't. But every time somebody got too close to me, I was like, "What the fuck is 6 feet? Come on, man!" Like, first of all, I wouldn't want you that close to me. Period. Like, if this had never happened, why are you breathing my air? Get away from me.
2 pet peeves, and Scott and I talked about this. Number 1 is, I guess 3 if you include the smoking. And number 2 is like walking, and like, so we know that kids are basically asymptomatic. They're like in ultra rare conditions. They might get that inflammatory illness from it.
Right.
But you'll see a woman who's about 60 walking with a kid who's about 7. And which one of them do you think has the mask on?
Oh God.
The kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I don't get that. So that's kind of one of my things too, is like they wear the mask wrong, and then they put it on the wrong person who they should be concerned about, because like kids are, for the most part, they're not real vulnerable to it. And maybe that kid has something wrong, but if there was something wrong, I don't think that they should be out anyways. That's just my opinion.
Right.
But it's not likely that I'm seeing that happen that often, and all those kids have some kind of condition. The other one that has been irritating the shit out of me is I was trying to buy yogurt. All right, we all know we're supposed to stay 6 feet apart. Like how do I feel about it? It doesn't really matter. The fact is somebody else might feel they want you 6 feet away from them. So like I don't need to go up like next to somebody to grab something. I'm trying to be respectful of people's space. But like you'll get people who will decide that the time to, what flavor do I like? Yes. And they walk slow down the aisles, and they sit there and take forever. I shop with a purpose, so now it's not the time to be indecisive. Like, come to Walmart, get your fucking blueberry yogurt and get out of my way.
I give you a time period for you to peruse, and that I won't be in your space. And then if you sit there, I'm getting in your space. I'm getting in your space.
Like, you know what? You took, and not only that, they touched like 3 different ones. And I'm
That's
like,
me.
you know what?
I'm horrible at the grocery store, though. I haven't followed the arrows one time, not once.
I haven't either.
Listen, it's not my fault, because I do the grocery shopping in the house, but I kind of know where everything is in my household that I need to get all the time. But my wife will throw me off sometimes because, like, we're very like gluten-free and all kinds of stuff. The girls have allergies. And so I'll be on FaceTime with her, and I'm pointing at stuff like this one, and I'll hold it up, and like I'll put it back, and I'm going in between people because they're taking slow. And I'm trying to get in between people, and they're just looking at me like this motherfucker is touching everything.
I don't mind the touching as much as like, you know, like that doesn't bother me as much as they take their time and they act so concerned that you're going to get in their space, but yet they're touching everything. And I'm like,
right.
just get out of my. I'm like Linda. If somebody takes too long and they're just standing there, I've got kind of the first time I'll.
Let me breathe all over you.
I'll huff. And then when they turn around, like, yes, I'm standing here waiting on you. And if they don't move soon after that, I just reach over them. I'm so sick of this shit.
Right, because everyone, you know, man, people do. They act like you have the disease already. Like
They do.
And they act like they have 3 hours to go grocery shopping every day.
I know. Like, I don't get it.
It's a mess. It is a mess, and I could see like the first time all this went down and we were on lockdown, the first time I went to the grocery store, it did feel like a little bit of a movie, like a zombie movie or something, like, and everyone's kind of staring at everybody, you know, and like, you know, it was kind of like slow mo, and I was like, man, if I was a person that had like anxiety or panic attacks, I could understand people feeling this way right now. Like, you feel like everyone's got a disease, everyone's an alien.
I mean, I talked about that a few weeks ago, how like I went and people were acting like nuts, and it did like make me really nervous because, you know, like I said, at that time when I went, there were kids who were like trying to jump out at people from around the corner, and kids weren't even supposed to be there. And like there was that kid who was like screaming. And so for me, like it did feel very unsafe at that point. But it was because people like, this wasn't not just like not normal. It was like out of norm for like how people act normally.
Right.
It was kind of crazy. Another time I freaked myself out by going to Walmart when I was drunk. To buy mulch, and I'm like, I'm going in. Like, then I got paranoid that everybody could tell I was drunk. But I've been working out in the sun, and when I got in the cool, I was drunker than I thought I was.
Oh my God.
So I've been working on my garden, like putting mulch out, and I was like, I need more mulch. And then it's like, we're only supposed to go in like one person. I'm like, I'm going in. And then I got out there and I was like, oh God, they can tell I'm with him. They can tell I'm drunk. Oh shit.
I wish I had seen you get ratted out on Richmond KY's website.
Oh my God, that'd be funny.
Look at this drunk woman at Walmart.
You know how you start tiptoeing, like.
Or you just like they know I'm drunk.
They know I'm drunk. They probably think I'm a drunk coronavirus carrier.
Oh my God.
I've just been wilding out.
What's you know, like what someone's like, yeah, you better start wearing a mask or something, you know, some people are joking around with me, and I was like, man, I'm Mexican and I carry a weapon and you want me to wear a mask. I was like, you're trying to get me shot. Like, this is a setup.
True.
I was like,
Okay, so I saw this graphic. Sorry to interrupt you, Gina. I saw this graphic. It talked about people who wear masks incorrectly, how like they leave their nose out, and it compared it to somebody using a condom and cutting the tip off. I was in shambles. I think that is the funniest thing ever.
Well, I've been talking to, I was probably talking to Linda about this. I'm like, what's so funny is like, people are like so concerned, you know, but like, there's always that thing, like you're taking risks. It's like these fuckers who go out and like raw dog everybody that they can get a hold of, knowing that they can get AIDS or the clap or something like that. Like, it's so funny how it's actually important to people only because they can see if you're complying. But we know that people don't behave that responsibly. Like, when it's something that they can hide. And I think that's kind of irritation as well, is like, if it wasn't for the fact that it's like something visible that is a sign to other people that you're behaving healthy, I don't think that there would be as many people do it, because people aren't that responsible with their health overall.
right.
They aren't.
I'm 40, so you got to think like my 5th and 6th grade teachers, sex ed, they try to scare us to death with AIDS, showing us you know what? 6th grade come, that didn't stop any of us. We didn't even care. We didn't even
Cut it
care.
out. I'm a health teacher. I hope to God my kids care.
No, man. Hey, our high school, our middle school, 6th grade, they gave us a paper bag with condoms and like literature on this stuff in California. I remember, dude, we made water balloons with the condoms, and we'd still go out with our girlfriends at night. We didn't care. Like, it was such a mess.
They've never done that in Kentucky.
No, because Kentucky is behind on sex ed, girl. We're still supposed to be teaching these kids monogamy and abstinence.
So when Chris was
Literally.
in 6th grade, I think they did sex education with him, and they gave him a little book, and I caught him giggling, showing one of his friends how it said, was it ejaculation?
Oh my God.
You're going to learn about erection.
No.
That is so funny though. But you know, I mean, it didn't scare my generation. So it's like this right now, no one's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Oh, Gina froze
I
up.
think they froze. So where's your gym at?
I'm in Georgetown, Kentucky.
Georgetown. What's it called?
Georgetown Mixed Martial Arts.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you guys
training-
back?
You're back. Gina, nope.
No.
You're not. You train with Gina?
I used to. So I used to live in Richmond, and I used to coach Gina's son, Chris, in wrestling. So after wrestling season, they convinced me to come out, and I started going, and I really enjoyed it. But then I moved to Louisville, and I haven't found a gym in Louisville yet.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I was supposed to, but I mean, there are some good ones, and of course, everyone in Louisville will hype up Core, but I mean, I won't speak negatively about anybody, and I don't know what they're like, but just based on price alone, like,
It's expensive, yeah.
my little teacher coins don't stretch that far.
Gina, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. But you guys, we kind of hit on a lot of the things that were going on. Probably going to go ahead and end because we're hitting it an hour and a half. It doesn't feel like we've been doing it that long. But anyways, before we go, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you if they want to get up with you guys?
You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, everywhere. Everyone knows me. Good and bad.
Don't look for me.
She's in Canada.
I'm at F109_10P.
I'm Gina E10P. But anyways, we're gonna get off here. Thank you guys for listening. We'll try to. I'm gonna try and be a little more consistent on here, even if I have to make Linda co-host with me a little bit while Danny gets her phone fixed.
Oh, sure, her phone is broke.
It's. She said it has water damage.
She's out traveling.
to do it. She wanted to do an episode yesterday at 5, and then when we started to go at 5, she couldn't get her microphone to work, and she said her phone had water damage. So
See, Danny's a good experiment too. If someone's gonna catch corona, it would be Danny. Just because she's cross training everywhere. Just
I'm
saying.
glad he said it.
And she's healthy. She's living. So there we go. That should be our okay to go cross train and get things back to normal.
I've told her she's going to end up on the news. Because listen, whenever we open this podcast, like sometimes she's frying a steak, sometimes she's got some dude at her house giving her a stew on her sofa, and sometimes she's in Florida, sometimes she's in Tennessee, and she's very open about it.
Yeah.
But I have a strong feeling that if she gets it, she's going to be on the news. So
Yeah, if they're trying to keep track of her, that's going to be a hard job.
Yeah. They're not gonna be able to tell like how many people she exposed. Yeah.
From here to Florida, and then all the way around to Tennessee, Georgia, probably all the way back.
That's terrible. We can't talk about her while she's not here to defend herself.
I mean, we're not saying anything bad. It's true. It's not anything I didn't say to her.
No, She's a savage. She don't care.
At all.
She's
I was
gonna
on
end up
someone else's podcast. I was on Joshua Duke's podcast one night, and we're all. I'm sorry, you guys gotta go, but we're all chatting, right? And I forgot the guy's name, but he's in Tennessee, and it's at his gym, and he's talking, and all of a sudden I see Danny's head pop up in the background, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Wait a minute." I was like, "I think."
I mean, you know, you're being open and honest. How do you? I mean, as a gym owner, like, because it makes me nervous. You know, it makes me nervous. So, like, there's this thing of like, if she said, "Hey, can I come train?" Like, how would you feel about that, knowing that she's been everywhere?
I'm gonna get her blood work first. Give her a swab. I know what you're saying. It is scary. Like,
I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. That's good proof.
Yeah.
Like, give her 2 weeks when she comes back.
I think the only good thing about her is because she is public, open, and transparent about it. At least you know the truth. Like,
Yeah,
there's so many people. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. At least Danny is totally open, and you can always say that about Danny, whether you like Danny or you don't like Danny. She gives it to you straight so that you can form an opinion, an accurate opinion.
and her and I talked about that too, because I said, you know, like, I don't know, like, if she asked me if she could come train, I don't know, like, I don't have an answer for that right now.
As a gym owner, you just guarantee you're like, well, let's see, 2 weeks from now where you're at, just to make sure, because
but what if she goes somewhere else?
Yeah, it's not like if I go to Tennessee and we were on the mats and I chose to be at this open mat and she's there, I'm gonna roll with her.
Right.
But if I bring her into my gym, I'm gonna have to, other people might have a problem with it and they might not say nothing. So you gotta, you kind of have to say.
And that's kind of my point, is like, people will not sometimes say how they're really feeling. Like, there might be somebody who really has a problem with it, and now they're not going to come to you and be open about it, but they're also not going to come back.
Yeah.
Right.
And so for me, like, that would kind of, like, it's not that I would mind training with her personally. It's just, like, some of what she is doing would offend some of our
people.
members.
Yeah. So as a business owner, you got to think about the bigger picture rather than just your personal preference. Yeah.
So,
Very, very true.
kind of funny. Anyways, thank you guys for coming in today.
you,
Obviously,
guys.
we're a Bluegrass Women's Jiu-Jitsu Club, but we're not anti-man.
No, I made it.
And we'll try to do this again in 2 days. See you guys.
Yeah.
See you
Bye.
tonight. See you tonight.
Yeah, see you tonight. In broadcast. I'm not good at this. I'm glad some people decided to click on the